Halloween is right around the corner, and if you are on the hunt for the perfect dog Halloween costume, then I've got some great DIY options for you. Let's get crafting. In this video, we are going to make 5 different DIY costumes, and before we get into the first one, I do just want to mention a quick but very important note about dog Halloween costumes. So number one, you always just want to make sure that they are not too tight. They fit appropriately, nothing is squeezing them, especially around the neck, and they're comfortable for our dogs. And the other thing that you really want to make sure of is that they have complete vision. Nothing is blocking their eyes. I know a lot of people like to dress their dogs as ghosts and just throw a sheet over their dog, but a lot of times when they're walking, it's great for photos, but a lot of times when they're walking, that sheet might slip and go in front of their eyes. So whatever costume you do decide to go with, make sure it's comfortable, it fits appropriately, and they can see. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we're gonna get into our first costume. It's gonna be the easiest one that we make today, and it is a mummy. For your mummy costume, the only thing you're gonna need is some medical wrap. I picked this up at my local drugstore. It was just a couple dollars. And then the other thing that you're gonna need is a pair of scissors. Now, you do not need to make anything in advance. Literally the day you are ready for your dog to wear their costume, bust this out and wrap them up. Just make sure to keep things loose and comfortable. I do gently wrap around the legs and also once around the head, just to create that real mummy look. And since the wrap sticks to itself, there is no need for tape. It will just stay in place. And the next costume on the list is a martini glass. So if your dog's ever had a procedure and your vet has given you one of these right here, you know, the cone of shame, this is just a plain plastic cone, then you already have one of the main supplies. So you're gonna need this. Along with that, we're gonna be making a little olive stick that comes out of the martini glass. So you will need a dowel. Now, the size of your dowel is going to be dependent on the size of your dog. You don't want it to weigh a lot. I've got small dogs, so I went with literally the thinnest dowel that I could find at my craft store. And then we're gonna need something to make the olives. Now, people do this differently. Sometimes you'll see it done with 100% felt. I am using these little styrofoam balls, and you can certainly paint them with an olive green paint, but I kind of just took the lazy route and didn't want to wait for anything to dry. So I used an olive green marker and colored in the balls. And then to make the little pimento centerpiece, I just took some red felt, cut out little circles out of the felt, and used a hot glue gun to glue them. And then I strung my little olives onto the dowel. And last but not least, we just have to hot glue gun it to our cone and put it on your dog. How simple is that? Now you have a puppy martini that is shaken, not stirred. The next DIY costume is a TY tag, which is going to turn our dogs into the most adorable Beanie Babies. So this one, just like all of the other projects in this list or in this video, this one's really easy. The only thing you're gonna need is some cardstock in 3 different colors. So the back of the tag is gold. I really wanted this gold foil just because it is a little bit more like the tag, and I just think it's so pretty, right? Then you're gonna use a red one for the main portion of the tag, the main heart, and then the real tag has white lettering, so I also grabbed a 3rd piece of cardstock in white, and that is for the lettering. Now, the only thing that you need to do truly is trace, cut out, and glue it all together. I went online and I looked up a picture of the tag, and I got something that looked like this, and then I blew it up to the correct size for my dog. I would suggest doing the same because I am using this for my toy poodle, and if you are using it for your Great Dane, then the sizing is going to be very different. So I would just really look up the tag and play around with what sizing you think is gonna be best. It's gonna hang from your dog's collar, so you certainly don't want it too long or they might trip on it, right? So we don't want that to happen. So you just wanna make sure you're playing around and getting the right size. And then what I did is I printed 2 of these out. So I cut this one out and I left the gold. That is this one. I already cut it out. Then I printed this one and I took off the gold because I'm gonna use this as my stencil for the red paper. And then I printed out another copy and I just cut around the T and the Y. And these are now my stencils that I will use on the white paper. This next DIY costume is a spider. So this is actually my costume this year. I bought myself a little poncho that's a spider web, and then the dogs are going to be spiders and they're gonna get tangled up in my web. So I actually went to originally buy a store-bought version, and then I realized, wait a minute, I can DIY this. I can do this myself. And literally the only thing you need is some pipe cleaners to create the legs, and I will be attaching the legs to a step-in harness, and I'm actually attaching them to these little side rings here. Now you can do a similar thing if your dog wears collars and you don't want to go get a step-in harness. You can also just attach it to the collar. I find this one a little bit better just because then the legs are coming from the middle of their back, but honestly, either works, and it's really a matter of just keeping things simple. So let's make one of the legs right now so I can show you how easy this actually is. So I start off with, I've been doing 3 pipe cleaners. Each leg is going to take 6 pipe cleaners. Here's another 3, but we're gonna start with 3. Now I say each leg is 6 pipe cleaners. I have got a 7-pound dog and I think she's an 8-pound dog. So if your dogs are bigger and you want your legs to be longer, you can just add 3 more pipe cleaners to the mix. So what I'm doing is I'm just twisting these pipe cleaners together. And then once I get almost to the end, about here, I take 3 more and I just attach them yet again by twisting. And that's what I'm saying. If you have a larger dog and you need longer legs, it's really easy to just grab 3 more pipe cleaners and keep on going. Bend your twisted pipe cleaner in half and then shape your spider legs like this. What I'm gonna do is just take this and I'm gonna feed it right into this little section on the side, and to make sure it stays on one side of the legs, I am just going to wrap it around the harness. The biggest thing you just want to be careful of is that there's no ends of the pipe cleaners at the bottom that can stick into your dog. So just be mindful about that. You'll string 2 of these on each side, which means that you're gonna end up with 8 spider legs. And this last DIY dog Halloween costume is perhaps the spookiest for the season, and that is a 3-headed dog. To make this, all I am using is a collar that I had in my drawer, and I went to the dollar store and I picked up these little stuffed dogs. I felt really bad to cut the head off of these dogs, I've got to admit, but it's all for the gram, right? It's all for Instagram so we can have cute costumes for our dogs and take pictures of them. So I'm not gonna cut the dog on camera because it just feels wrong. So basically what I did was I just took a pair of scissors. We all know what happened, okay? We know what happened to the dog. And then I sewed the bottom. Getting these in the right placement, that exact right placement, can actually be a little bit tricky. So put one on first, and this is kind of how you have to place it, just so you can see, onto the collar. And then put this on your dog, and you'll actually see I used a marker and I marked the area where the next head needs to sit. So now what you do is just sew it on. There are definitely a whole bunch of other costumes that you can DIY. I've seen a bowl of cereal where you take the cone collar and you actually use pool noodles and you cut them into pieces and you create a little pseudo spoon and you basically turn them into a bowl of cereal. I've seen where they've become loofahs, where you just take that loofah fabric and you can even sew it onto a dog shirt if you want and just kind of use that as the base of a pattern and then have them wear the shirt and it's got all of the fabric on it already and they look like a little loofah. So that's definitely a cute one. There are just so many different options. So definitely tell me what your dog's gonna be. If you liked these DIY dog Halloween costumes and you think you might even make one, give the video a big thumbs up. And before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I always post dog treat recipes, DIY projects, dog product reviews, and so much more. See you next time.